Hello and welcome to the College of American Pathologists live stream and media briefing. We're coming to you live from Las Vegas at the CAP24 annual meeting. Joining us today are two special guests. Sarah McInerney-Hawk, who was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 30, and Elizabeth Waksberg, who at 38 was diagnosed with colon cancer. So Elizabeth, can you share a little bit about your story? What symptoms you were experiencing, what stage the cancer was when you were first diagnosed, and where things stand currently in your journey?
Sure. I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer on March 14th of 2019. I'd had IBS symptoms for years. I'd gone to GIs starting in my early 20s. I always joked that I was a Desitin and milk of magnesia child. My dad's a pediatrician, so I had very good relationships with going to the doctor. My sister made a joke about how it was kind of ridiculous because of how often I go to the doctor and how it was missed. I went to several GIs over different abdominal issues, and I was diagnosed first with IBS after they ruled out celiac, and then SIBO. And the first GI that wanted to do a colonoscopy was leaving the network, so my insurance told me to find another doctor. I went and found another doctor, and they looked at me and said I had IBS and bacterial overgrowth. They then said, "This is what I think is wrong with you, and I'm never wrong, so this is what's wrong with you." I went to another GI the next year who again offered a colonoscopy to maybe rule out Crohn's or colitis, but they didn't think that that's what I had. And then it was another year after that that I started getting pain up on my left side. I initially felt like I'd pulled a muscle, and I started getting shooting pains, and 2 weeks from the first pain is when I was diagnosed. Actually, by CT scan, I went to a new GI. I met him on the 12th of March, Dr. Sharma, who's with Cedars now, and he ran some blood work, and I had really high inflammation. And so I had a colonoscopy scheduled, but they sent me for a CT, and the CT found that I had a tumor in my colon and spots on my liver. I'm incredibly lucky in that after 3 rounds of chemo, they did a colon and liver resection, and the pathology came back that all of my cancer cells and my tumors were dead. So my official NED date is July 1st of 2019, so I am a little bit over 5 years NED from stage 4 colon cancer.
That's great,
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing that story. And you've already sort of touched on it, but can Elizabeth first maybe, and then Sarah, share with us about the importance of being your own advocate, listening to your body, listening to your symptoms, and maybe even convincing others that your symptoms are real?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest issues, and you are taught sort of to listen to the doctors and that they understand best. They've gone to school, and I think what we're learning is there's a level of care and treatment, but you are in your body, and you understand your body better than anyone else can, and that's why I started the TikTok that I started, which is how I reach younger people, and I have people who comment, I was afraid of a colonoscopy, I was afraid of pushing for a colonoscopy, my doctor said I didn't need one. And I get messages now from people who are saying, I advocated for myself, I pushed for a colonoscopy, I'm 25, they removed precancerous polyps, and they said, you saved my life.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that learning how to advocate for myself and being able to teach other people how to advocate for themselves is gonna create a wave of finding this earlier if possible.
Great. So this is kind of a follow-up to that last question, but what advice would you give people your age when it comes to going regularly to the doctor and keeping up with cancer screening? Elizabeth, you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think using yourself as an example, to me, again, like my friends go and get colonoscopies because of me. And as if my story can help somebody see the benefit in a colonoscopy, because colonoscopies not only can catch colon cancer, but they can prevent colon cancer. And I think that's the biggest thing, is learning that going for your yearly physical, I write down all my symptoms as I have them, and I, will message my doctor if something new comes up. I probably annoy her, but she's very nice about everything, and she gets back to me because I want to make sure that I'm on top of everything that's happening with my body.
Great. Elizabeth, I know you work with a nonprofit that helps people get colonoscopies. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm wearing the company, our World Class.
Love it.
We like to say World Class, emphasis on the ass, since we are colon cancer patients. I met Brooks, who started the nonprofit with our friend Sarah. Brooks and I were online chemo buddies. We were doing chemo around the same time, and we would check in with each other. For anyone who's had oxaliplatin, it is not fun. And being able to speak to somebody who knew what you were going through was super helpful. So she started this nonprofit with Sarah. Sarah is also an NAD stage 4 patient. Brooks is an NAD stage 3 patient. And what they're trying to do is to push the idea that colonoscopies are part of health and wellness, that it is not a scary word, it is not a scary procedure. I always say that a colonoscopy is way easier than colon cancer. It's also much cheaper. But part of what we were talking about with healthcare disparity is that colonoscopies can sometimes be out of reach for a lot of people. So World Class and what they're doing is they are going to start out funding colonoscopies for people who have a positive stool test but cannot afford the colonoscopy. And the first group that they're starting with are migrant workers in North Carolina, and finding the communities that have the least access to these tests and being able to provide them for them. So worldclassclothing.com, you can purchase t-shirts. I have my bag that says colonoscopy enthusiast, and all of it goes to help funding the idea that colonoscopies can prevent colon cancer, not just diagnose it, and that you can help somebody get a colonoscopy. So they're officially launching on Giving Tuesday, which I believe is December 3rd, but you can purchase now as well.
That's great. It's wonderful, and I'm sure you are saving lives through this work that you're doing.